The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hoop Ballers! We back. Are you ready? Yeah, that's right, Hoop Ballers. Time to break it down. Box score breakdown, y'all. I'm back. It's Josh Millman. Was off for Thanksgiving. Hope you all had a nice turkey day. It's been a while since I've been back. Had to gain some weight, lose some weight, but we all good. Back to cover a 10-game slate, December 4th, 2019. Lots going on, lots to get into. So let me introduce my co-host, as always, the captain, Kurt Beach. Kurt, what's up, dude?
Josh, I'm living the dream, good brother. You know I am.
Just feeling. My man's always living the dream. I love it.
Yep, nice and fat after Turkey Day.
Yeah, we love that. We got to get the excess weight off and then right back into it with the holidays right around the corner.
You know it.
It's so futile to try to exercise when all you know is that the holidays are coming. All you're going to do is just stuff your face for the next several weeks. You might as well succumb to it.
Yeah,
There's just no avoiding it.
Just give up the working out until next year.
That's what New Year's resolutions are for.
Yep.
But we have to stuff your face with a lot of stats because, again, we got 10 games on the slate, lots to cover. And before we do that, though, this is a Hoop Ball presentation, the box score breakdown, brought to you by Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee. That's right. Our good friends at Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee, they are our title sponsor of all of our audio and video productions here at Hoop Ball. Check out their website, hawaiianisles.com, on Amazon by searching for Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee, or on Twitter at HIKONA Coffee. Over on Twitter. Also, our great leader, Aaron Brewski, he's got a Brews Letter. That's right, a weekly newsletter from our founder, the great Aaron Brewski. He's writing an email newsletter for the season. It is exclusive content that you cannot find anywhere else except Hoop Ball. It's not on the website. It's not on a podcast. He's not doing this through social media. It's only the email newsletter. It is chock full of fantasy goodness that will help you win your leagues. And you can sign up to get it at hoop-ball.com. Get it for free. It takes 10 seconds. hoop-ball.com/newsletter. Sign up in 10 seconds and get Aaron Brewski delivered to your inbox every single week and be better than your opponents because of it. Kurt, a lot to have to cover, man. Let's get right into it, shall we? How about we start with the Charlotte Hornets beating the Golden State Warriors 106-91. As always, we'll split this up. I will grab the Warriors side of things and pass the torch on to my man Kurt. Starting with the Warriors, the return of D'Angelo Russell. He did lead all scorers with 18 points, had 2 assists and 2 rebounds as well, a couple turnovers. He was 50% from the field, 7 of 14. Also had 3 3-pointers. Not a whole lot else to go on, but only played 25 minutes in his return from his thumb sprain. And it seems like, just from checking Twitter, that the thumb was still bothering him a little bit, but he was able to make it through, I'm sure, as long as he came out of that unscathed. And we'll keep our eye on the news that he will be back. And again, with full usage, it does put a dent on some of the other guys that were picking up usage in his absence, guys like Kai Bowman and Alec Burks. We'll get into those guys in a little bit, but it's good to see D'Angelo Russell back, albeit for a losing side for the Golden State Warriors. Draymond Green also back, 5 points, 6 assists, 3 steals, 3 boards, only 25 minutes as well. Steve Kerr had basically said that he's going to be capped the rest of the way. He's going to be rested on back-to-backs. He's dealing with a lot of nagging injuries. This is just sunk cost. And unfortunately, just with the Warriors have nothing to play for, these are the kinds of lines that we may see. He's going to defer, or at least I think start deferring to guys like Pascal and Glenn Robinson. So I can't imagine that there's going to be a whole lot of upside. Maybe someone wants to bet on it. If you want to try to trade for anything you can, go nuts. But these are the kinds of box scores that you may see going forward for Draymond Green. Nothing really beyond those 25 minutes. But speaking of Eric Pascal, 36 minutes, 16 points, 6 boards, an assist, and 3 turnovers, couple 3-pointers, but not a whole lot on the defensive side. But that's his MO. Can score, can rebound, but not a whole lot of D. Glenn Robinson, the third, 30 minutes, 8 points, 2 boards. Also not a whole lot on the defensive side, 4 of 10 shooting. Kind of a fringy guy in most leagues. Willie Cauley-Stein had 8 points, 7 boards, 2 blocks, and a steal. Good defensive stats, but we know that Kevon Looney is going to cut into that. He only played 18 minutes. Kevon Looney played 12 off the bench. He had 7 points, 3 boards, and assists. It's going to take him some time to get back up to speed. But even still, his upside is going to be capped again. This is a lost season, so there's no need for Steve Kerr to trot him out for too many minutes. And Alec Burks, as we'd mentioned, he had a solid night off the bench, 15 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, 6 of 7 from the field, so really efficient. Just the overall volume is a little bit concerning, and the efficiency is great. But just the fact that, the good thing is he got 30 minutes. The bad thing is that he only shot the ball 7 times. So it's not ideal because he depends on scoring to get his value. So that is a little bit less than ideal for him. We'll round this out with Kai Bowman, another beneficiary of D'Angelo Russell's absence. He did play 25 minutes. He had 7 points, 4 boards, an assist, and a steal. Only 3 of 8 shooting. Again, I can't really see too much value in him as long as Russell is on the floor, even if minutes are going to be capped for the starters moving forward. Kurt, did I miss anything on the Warriors side of things?
No, man, really, it's just with Draymond and Russell out there, it's kind of a crapshoot. And I think the guy worth holding on to is Eric Pascal. Maybe Looney, if you still had him. Maybe if you left him in IR, I'd be leaving him in the IR for a while. And if you did pick him up, don't drop him yet because his minutes should trend up, even if it's low 20s. He's got a decent amount of upside for this team. And really, people were saying you got to sell Draymond Green and D'Angelo Russell. Draymond's going to go into about, I think, a 10-game stint where he doesn't have any back-to-backs. So if he puts up some decent numbers in these next 10 games or even 5, 6, however many, I'd try to trade him. Most people aren't going to accept it, or you're going to get pennies on the dollar, but maybe try to do that. I'm not selling high, or I guess, I don't know if it's high or low. I wouldn't be selling D'Angelo because I think he's going to get some good burn for the next couple months. And if he gets traded, that's not necessarily too bad for him. Maybe, he's not going to be the alpha on most teams, but I'd still be holding him. I'd be trying to sell Green.
I like it, man. Give me the Hornets.
On the Hornets side, PJ Washington, who's been really annoying people. He had like a 6-game run where he had single digits, and his minutes were low. A lot of that was because of foul trouble, though. Tonight he had 9, 5, and 3, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 3, and played 33 minutes. That's the most important number for me here. He only had 2 fouls, so if he can stay out of foul trouble, he's worth owning. He's been about a top 100 guy so far, and Miles Bridges, who's most people, if they weren't looking at the rankings, would probably tell you is the better player, but he's actually around 150, 9-cat. He only played 19 minutes today. I'm not exactly sure why. He had 10, 2, and 1 with 2 blocks and 2 threes. So an okay line for 19 minutes, but the 19 minutes is concerning. Terry Rozier and Devonte Graham went beast mode tonight. Terry Rozier had 25, 7, and 7, 3 threes, 5 3-pointers, and shot 50% from the field. So good night from Scary Terry. Devonte Graham hit 10 3-pointers. I think that was a career high for 33 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals. He's been having a great year. He's around the top 90, top 100 mark. And I think he's got more buzz than what his actual value is worth. So I think you could cash in and trade for a better piece there. But I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to ride it out. Cody Zeller came off the bench. I think this was his 2nd game back. He had 8 and 5 with 4 turnovers. Only played 18 minutes. And he's not the Cody Zeller we saw to start the year. Maybe that's some still shaking off the injury. But he's coming off the bench. The minutes are low. Biyombo started tonight, and he's been a nice streamer for blocks. But he got in foul trouble. He had 5 fouls, so he played 18 minutes. But I picked him up in a place in one league for his 4-game week. I think Charlotte's got a couple of 4-game weeks coming up. So if you're streaming him for blocks, can't blame you there. Nick Batum played 25 minutes. I'm not really interested, even though he did get 2 steals, 2 blocks, and a 3. He's old and kind of washed up on this team that's going towards a youth movement. So even though he had a well-rounded line, only scored 3 points, but did a little bit of everything, I'm not interested there. Dwayne Bacon and Malik Monk played 13 minutes and 16 minutes respectively. Didn't do a whole lot. They're not standard league guys. And really, Josh, that's all there is here. What do you got on the Hornets?
I'm with you. Most of that, Graham's had some season. He's actually top 50 in total values, below that on a per game basis, but he's probably, I would think, the leader in the clubhouse for pickup of the year.
Yeah.
At this point, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head who's there. Rozier's actually been playing much better with Graham in the starting lineup. The Bridges minutes are concerning, but I'm not going to look too much into that. But even though he's been a little bit of a disappointment, if you believed in the breakout, because it was Graham that had the breakout and not Bridges. So. But other than that, there's not a whole lot to like on this team. It seems like, all the questions that we had around this team about who would step up has kind of been solidified. It's Devonte Graham. He's the guy. And Terry Rozier is going to be the guy as well. That backcourt is they're going to put up a lot of volume. There might be some efficiency issues down the road, especially for Rozier. But I think we can live with that just as long as they keep putting up the popcorn stats, which that, and it seems like their roles are going to be secure during that. So let's move on to our next game. The Milwaukee Bucks just keep on rolling, 127-103, beating the Detroit Pistons. Giannis on the Bucks side doing Giannis things, 35 points, 9 rebounds. The shocking thing, though, no assists, no steals either, but he did have 2 blocks. He also did this in only 28 minutes. So just the game got a little bit one-sided towards the end of the third quarter. So Giannis not needing to play heavy minutes, still doing a lot of damage. And decent night, pretty good night shooting, 12 of 21. 4 3-pointers, which was encouraging. And 7 of 9 at the stripe. Those have been his Achilles heel. So it was a good night on both of those fronts for Giannis. Chris Middleton had 17 points, 8 boards, 5 assists, a steal. Hey, look, he's back. He did this in only 25 minutes, so it's nice. He should be able to deliver his typical mid-round value. So keep trotting him out there if you got him. Brook Lopez, only 5 points, 6 boards, 3 blocks though, and a steal, which is nice. We love him for the defensive stats, and he can chip in the occasional 3-pointer. Only played 18 minutes. I'm sure there might be some lingering back issues there, but also I'm sure the score kind of dictated what the Bucks were going to do. So as long as Lopez is healthy, I also keep trotting him out there without any fear. Eric Bledsoe, 13 points, 6 boards, 6 assists. He's had a pretty solid run as well, 6 of 11 shooting, so the efficiency was there. Also only 27 minutes. Might have just been one of those games where we're not going to get a ton of volume out of Eric Bledsoe. The score just simply did not dictate it. There's room for growth with him as the season wears on. He's had a pretty decent season all around, top 100 value, and should hopefully will be able to grow moving forward, knowing that there's going to be extra minutes and his role is pretty secure on that team. On the bench, this is really kind of where the wasteland sets in with the Bucks. Leading scorer off the bench was Robin Lopez, 10 points, 2 boards, a block. You're not really doing anything with Robin Lopez. He was DFS darling with Brook Lopez out, but not really worth hanging on to in any kind of standard leagues. Really, there's no one on the bench that's really worth hanging on in standard leagues as long as their starters are healthy. Ersan Ilyasova was the guy to have in this case. 10 points, 4 boards, and assists, 2 steals for him. I mean, he can be, pretty streaky. Can put up some per minute value, but the ceiling is going to be really capped there. DJ Wilson played 16 minutes, 6 points, 5 boards and assists. Not really much else to go on. Dante DiVincenzo, who was the primary beneficiary of Chris Middleton's absence, went back to the bench. Only 22 minutes, 6 points, 6 boards, 6 boards and 3 assists with the steal. Not terrible in a short period of time, but again, not really viable for standard leagues as long as the Bucks starters are healthy. Kurt, am I missing anything? Oh, sorry, Kyle Korver, 9 points off the bench. Again, none of these guys are really going to be viable for standard leagues. The blowout nature of the game just gave the bench guys some extra time, but usually it's starters or bust for that Milwaukee Bucks team, and that's all I got on the Bucks. Kurt, anything you want to add?
Only thing I want to add, Josh, is Brook Lopez, the 18 minutes. It's good to see him back, and what I read was that when they took him out, like you said, they were well in control of the game and just didn't see any need to bring him back. Just give him a little bit more time to recover. So don't stress if you have him.
I am not stressing because I do own him in a couple of leagues.
His blocks and threes are nice.
It is the Pistons who should be stressing, though. So tell me why they should be stressing, Kurt.
Well, surely it couldn't be Blake Griffin's 4 of 17 from the field, but he chipped in 16 and 10 with 3 assists, 2 threes. Kind of murdered your field goal percentage tonight. But Andre Drummond tried his best to cover for him with 23 and 14, 5 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks, 1 of 4 from the free throw line. But overall, he's been good there this year, at least passable. Tony Snell started tonight. Nothing of note, really. 7 points in 27 minutes. Bruce Brown is still starting and not doing much with the starter's role. And they also started, I'm going to butcher his name, Sviatoslav Mikhailuk. He played 28 minutes. He had 6 points, 3 assists, 1 steal. So it was Griffin, Drummond, and a bunch of zombies. And Griffin didn't do much to help out. Luke Kennard sat out, I believe, with a knee injury tonight. He'd been having a good year. Off the bench, let's see. Derrick Rose had 14 and 5 with a steal in 25 minutes. Langston Galloway's been a decent three-point streamer. He had 20 points and 4 threes. Played 38 minutes. Actually led the team in minutes. Christian Wood, we know he's a permanent monster, but only played 14 minutes. 7 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. If you ever see Blake Griffin go down, I would be running to the wire to pick him up. It's kind of surprising that they didn't find a way to give him more minutes over all the other clowns they had in the starting lineup. And really, Josh, that's all I have here on the Pistons. They're kind of a boring team in terms of fantasy, minus Christian Wood.
Team's a mess.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy. Just given that the East is such a mess, at least the bottom half of that conference is such a disaster that it kind of gets overlooked as to how big of a mess the Pistons really are. Drummond is just doing everything, and his name's been in trade rumors constantly. I would imagine that Griffin might surface in trade rumors. I like this team is just going nowhere fast, and I would imagine that if the vultures are starting to circle, because Drummond's been the guy that's kind of been in the rumor mill, and he's the one that's been having the best season so far. I would hate to sell high on him because the defensive stats are so excellent, but his name is going to keep popping up from now until February. So I would just keep that in the back of your minds for you Drummond owners out there, that it is possible that he could be on the move, and that could put a big dent in what he can deliver fantasy wise. He just might not need to be as thoroughly needed as he is on this Pistons team. We will move on to the Orlando Magic beating the Phoenix Suns 128-114. The Suns started out hot this year. It's been rough go ever since. And we will start on the Suns side. Frank Kaminsky, 23 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, a steal. He's had a couple of decent games recently. The Aaron Baines injury has kind of thrust him into the starting lineup, and he's actually delivered some pretty decent value. I wouldn't get too comfortable with him. I think the Baines injury was somewhat minor, but I don't think he's barely a top 50 guy on a per game basis, so I wouldn't get too wrapped up in him. But do keep your eye on the Aaron Baines news. It seemed like he was going to come back, then he re-injured himself. It was a calf injury, so those things can linger a little bit. So if they do, he might be worth a flyer. Dario Saric had 10 points, 6 boards, and 2 assists. Not much on the defensive side. 3 of 7 shooting. He's had a decent run. He gets a little bit up and down, but we like Saric as a whole. There's top 100 consistency in him, even if it's not like a big ceiling. So I would hang on to Dario Saric. Just not a great game from him tonight. Speaking of not great games, Devin Booker, only 17 points, 5 assists, 3 boards, a couple turnovers, 7 of 16 shooting. Just not his night. Wouldn't worry too much about it. It's Devin Booker. There will be better nights for him moving forward. Still a top 50, easy top 50 player, just not a great night for him in this one. Ricky Rubio also a very quiet night. Only 4 points, 9 assists, a steal, 2 of 9 shooting. That woeful shooting is back, but this was also pretty. I keep saying also twice. I apologize. This was a one-sided affair as well on the Magic side. So they might have just been keeping everyone's minutes down on the starting side. So I would imagine there's going to be better times ahead for guys like Ricky Rubio and Devin Booker. Off the bench, Cheek Diallo, 16 points, 4 boards, 2 steals on 6 of 8 shooting. He could be another beneficiary if Aaron Baines was still to remain out. There's still another couple weeks before the DeAndre Ayton suspension is up. So he could be worth a streamer, depending on the severity of Aaron Baines' calf injury. And Michael Bridges, 15 points. We have a Michael Bridges sighting. 15 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. Not much on the defensive side. We actually do tend to like him because he puts up the defensive stats. Efficient shooting. He had a couple of 3-pointers, but not really much else tonight for him. So Cameron Johnson had 12 points off the bench in 25 minutes. 1 steal, 1 assist, 1 rebound as well. 4 3-pointers. I don't know. I wouldn't get too wrapped up in Johnson either. This bench isn't much to go on. It's just, again, dealing with some injury. Again, like we said, keep your eye on the Aaron Baines news. But that's all I got on the Suns. Kurt, anything you want to add?
Just that Kelly Oubre, that quiet line was disappointing, but he's not going to get all those fouls all the time, so you won't see that most nights. And I
knew I missed something. I was like, how did I miss Kelly Oubre? It was like that kind of line that just does not stand out. I'm like, there's nothing there. But Kelly Oubre is great. Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah, no worries. And it bummed me because he's been having such a great run, and tonight just 8-3-2 in 23 minutes. And I was like, come on, Oubre, what's going on? But then I saw the 4 fouls, so chalk that one up to fouls. The other guy that I might be watching off the bench, at least in a deeper league, is Ty Jerome. This was his second game and only played 18 minutes. Didn't do a bunch. Well, he did get 7 assists and 2 steals in 18 minutes. But I think there's just not enough here in terms of minutes for him. But in your deep leagues, you should probably be watching him. On the Magic side, Aaron Gordon is just infuriating me this week. Not because I own him, but because I'm going against him everywhere. He had one of his better games in the one before tonight. And then tonight, where he normally massacres your field goal percentage, tonight he was 13 of 15. He was a perfect 5 of 5 from 3-point land and only had 1 turnover. And usually gets a bunch of turnovers too. For 32 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal. So I hate to say it, but really good game from Aaron Gordon. He's been having a bum season. I honestly would maybe treat this as a sell high. He just hasn't been getting the usage, the looks, doesn't look super motivated out there, at least prior to tonight. Jonathan Isaac had a little bit of an off night by his standards. He had 7-4-1 with 2 steals, 1 block, and was 3 of 9 from the field. He'll be better on most nights. Don't worry about that. Markelle Fultz, I was slow to the party on him. Wasn't really sure if he could turn around, and I didn't really have a lot of spots I could add him early in the season. But right now, he's a must-add guy, or a must-own guy. Probably even must-start guy. 13 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. He's been getting it going. 26 minutes tonight, the same as DJ Augustine, but in the last few games he's been getting more minutes or at least more run than DJ Augustine. Evan Fournier, I think this guy's a sell high. He's been having a great season. In only 28 minutes, he had 21 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 3 threes. We've been watching to see what would develop here with Vooch out. We're hearing that he now has, I think, a bone bruise in addition to his ankle issue. So not exactly clear on when he'll come back. So we're watching Kem Birch and Mo Bamba. I go back and forth on these two. I thought Mo Bamba was the guy to own. And then Birch kind of took the lead, and then Bamba again. Tonight, Birch played 29 minutes. He had 7 and 9 with 2 assists, 1 steal. No defensive stats, only took 4 shots. And Bamba, even though he played 18 minutes off the bench, had 10 points, 11 rebounds, 1 steal, 4 blocks, and 2 threes. So 7 cash counters for Bamba in only 18 minutes. That's a fun line. Really not replicable in only 18 minutes. But if you're streaming him for blocks this week, or I understand that. I'm doing that in a couple places. DJ Augustine, 11 and 7 with 1 steal, 1 3. He's more of a 14-16 team guy and wouldn't blame you for cutting him there. Terrence Ross, he's really coming on strong the last 10 games or so after a slow start to the season. Only played 22 minutes tonight, but again, they were well in control. He had 22 points, which I think was a season high. 3 boards, 1 assist, 2 steals, and 3 threes. If you own him, really all you're looking for is the points and the threes and maybe a couple steals. So he did probably better than what you expect out of him tonight. And that's really all I see here, Josh. What did I miss for Orlando?
Like you said, don't panic on Jonathan Isaac. This is, again, one of those things where when Gordon is going, he's going to take a back seat to him on the offensive side. And Gordon had it going, and I desperately just want him to just go away. I don't even know what it is. I don't know. I feel like Aaron
Amen.
Gordon's been kind of a fantasy nemesis of mine
Yes.
for whatever reason. And just you keep expecting him to do these great things, and he keeps just driving you nuts. And just when you're about to just throw in the towel on him, he delivers a night like this where you're just like, oh, that's what he's capable of doing. The efficiency just isn't going to be there. He's not going to be 5 of 5 from deep as usual, but he's just going to keep chucking it up there. And there are times where he's just going to absolutely murder your efficiency. And then there are nights like this where you're just like, oh, wow, he's really good and he's really talented. And that was the flip side of the coin tonight. Fultz has been one of the most consistent guys in fantasy. He's must own, must start. Love that. And yeah, like you said on Bamba, good streamer, great per minute guy, good blocks. Just I think his upside is just going to be a bit limited, but you see what they saw with the potential there. I just hope that even if he stays in that high teens, low 20s range, there's a viable streamer in there. Mm-hmm. So nice to see him finally get some action. It stinks that it comes at the expense of Vooch, but it is good to see him flash some of his touted abilities that he was such a high pick on. We will move on to the Heat and the Celtics. The Celtics defeating the Miami Heat 112-93. On the Heat side, it's Jimmy Buckets as usual. I just traded for Jimmy Buckets in a league, so I'm excited. Nice. 37 points, 6 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals. Efficient shooting, 12 of 18, 6 3-pointers, only 7 to 10 from the line. Just another outstanding Jimmy Buckets line. Top 10 guy. Again, it's just a matter of health with Jimmy Buckets. I'm excited. I don't think that I've ever owned Jimmy Butler in any league before, and now I do, and I couldn't be happier. I'm really excited about this. Myles Leonard, only 3 points, 3 boards, 1 block in 20 minutes, only 1 of 4 shooting. Bam Adebayo. Everyone, DFS was really hyped about this matchup. The Celtics front court's a bit of a mess, but Bam had a quiet night, only 8 points, 9 boards, 3 assists, and a block. Better nights for Bam. Top 50 guy solidly. for the rest of the year. Just not a great night for him. Kendrick Nunn, 8 points, 4 assists, a steal, 4 turnovers though. Not his best night. And I feel like he's been quieting down a little bit. He's had some, again, he was a hot start to the season, but he's kind of fallen outside that hot top 100 range, in that top 125 range now. I would imagine that that's where he's going to stick. I know he was the beneficiary of Justice Winslow being out, but he's kind of cooled off a bunch for some time now. Speaking of Justice Winslow, he had 10 points, 7 boards, and 4 assists off the bench. No defensive stats, only 4 of 10 shooting and a 3-pointer. I feel like that's a pretty typical Justice Winslow line. Could use some better, some more defensive stats from him, and the efficiency will kind of come and go with him. But if he was dropped, definitely pick him up. He's kind of a top 100-ish kind of guy rest of the year. Kelly Olynyk played 28 minutes off the bench as well in his kind of pseudo revenge narrative. 12 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, and a steal. We like Kelly Olynyk around these parts because of what he's capable of doing from a fantasy perspective, but he's kind of yo-yoed a bunch throughout the season, and it's just a matter of consistency with him. And is he going to get the opportunities to do that? He is a top 125 per game guy. Just doesn't rack up a ton of minutes always. 6 minutes, a couple games ago, then 30, 35 the night prior. It's just a little bit all over the map. It's kind of concerning that he hasn't had the kind of consistency that we know he's capable of. But, I'm sure Coach Spo knows what he's doing, so I'm not going to be too worried about that. Duncan Robinson was starting again, 10 points, 5 boards, 1 assist, 3 steals. Hey, you know what? These kid's playing well. Good on him. I wouldn't, if you picked him up, he could be worth a hold. He's hanging on to that starting job. Good 3-point streamer. Top 100 value right now. So, if you grabbed him, keep holding on. Never know how that'll shake out, but he seems like he's got a solid spot in that starting lineup, and he keeps getting the run, and he keeps delivering. So, pretty nice find for that Heat team. Kurt, anything you want to add?
I disagree on Miami. I disagree on Duncan Robinson. Did I say disagree? I agree on Duncan Robinson. He's been really good, and there's a multitude of 3-point streamers out there these days, like the Terrence Ross type guys. But he's been fun. And just to plug our Brews letter with Aaron Brewski, he was interested in Duncan Robinson, or really intrigued by him. And that opened my eyes a little bit to him, started watching him a little more closely in the last week or so. And he doesn't do a whole lot besides score and hit threes. Tonight he did have 3 steals, and he did have a game with 10 boards. But man, he is just lights out from downtown. Just look at his game log on those threes, and the fact that he can go out there and, say a guy like Terrence Ross might hit 2 or 3 threes, he could go out there, and it's not surprising if Robinson hits 5 or 6 on a given night. It's pretty crazy. So I picked him up where I needed threes pretty much everywhere. Josh, did you touch on Tyler Hero at all?
I did not touch on Tyler Hero at all. He had 5 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, a block in 20 minutes. I don't know. With Justice Winslow healthy, the team's healthy. It's still a 19-year-old rookie. This feels like kind of a lost in the shuffle type of game for him, and his value is going to be dependent on if guys at the top of the pecking order are out of the lineup. Do you agree with that? Or are we going to have fighting words, Kurt?
Sir, the only reason I wondered if you touched on him or not was because I don't think it's really worth touching on. Just, I feel like he's overowned and overhyped, and like you said, the last 3 games have not been good. I don't know if it's because of Justice Winslow or really just the mix of things here in Miami and their fluid rotation. So he was barely a standard league guy, I believe, and now he's really outside that window. I wouldn't blame you if you dropped him for anything. Probably hold him in 14, 16 teamers, but I wouldn't blame you if you cut him there either.
Yeah, out of the top 150 at this point. So, yeah. All right, we will move on. Nets Hawks. My beloved Nets pick up the victory, 130-118 in Atlanta. On the Nets side of things, a really, really high scoring night. Spencer Dinwiddie continues his torrid stretch. 24 points, 4 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals, 7 turnovers is rather ugly, though. So you 8-catters are probably happy. 9-catters, not so much. Not the most efficient night, 10 of 22 from the field, no 3-pointers either. And his bread and butter has been getting to the stripe and making it, but only 4 of 6 from the stripe tonight. So solid night. We would be happy with this kind of line usually, but compared to what he's been doing recently, this seems a little bit off. But as long Kyrie's probably going to be out for another week or so, so keep riding the hot hand. Spencer Dinwiddie is the hot hand. Speaking of, in a bit of a revenge game, Taurean Prince, 23 points, 6 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals. A great night for him. 9 of 15 shooting, 5 3-pointers. This is what he is capable of. This is why the Nets brought him in. And I think he wanted to showcase his talents for his old team. He can score. He can shoot from deep. He can play D. And he delivered it all tonight. He's been up and down all season. His potential is as a top 100 player. He's kind of within the top 150, 125. He's been a little bit too inconsistent, but this was a great night and a glimpse of what he is capable of doing. Jared Allen has been an absolute beast, and he had another monster night. 20 points, 13 boards, 3 blocks, 2 steals, 8 of 11 shooting, 4 of 4 from the stripe. Jared Allen's been on fire. And a lot of us were really, really concerned when early in the season he was struggling and DeAndre Jordan had started to carve into a little bit of his minutes. It turned out to be a pretty big motivating factor. I really thought that he was looking like a drop candidate. And then he just turned it on. And guess what? He's in the top 50 now in terms of total value in non-cats. So he has been that good over the last few weeks. So keep riding the hot hand. That's also a glimpse of what Jared Allen is capable of doing. He can score in the interior. It's a soft Atlanta defense, so the scoring might not always be there most nights. But he can block shots. He can play D. He can board. Just an excellent night all around for Jared Allen. And moving on, Joe Harris, 13 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, only 1 of 3 from deep. One of those nights where they just didn't need all his scoring. But Joe Harris is also a capable guy, kind of hovers around that top 100 area, actually playing well above it recently. But he's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. And that will continue, just not a great night overall for him in this particular one. It was a great night, though, for Garrett Temple. 27 points, leading all Nets scores. 4 boards, 3 assists. Nothing on the defensive side. He was 10 of 16 shooting, 6 3-pointers in this one. And this is kind of that next man up mentality that the Nets have. And Temple's been that guy. They brought him in, and everyone was so worried. How are they going to deal with Kyrie and all of his, and his moodiness? And it's they were, what are they doing with their culture? Guess what? Garrett Temple's a culture guy. He's a great guy. He's a guy who steps in and steps up when you call his number, and he's done just that. And he's been shooting great. And guess what? He's now a top 100 guy. He's not going to stay there, but he's playing like a top 100 player while Kyrie Irving is out, and it just adds to the depth that they will have when both Kyrie and Karis LeVert return from their respective injuries. The problem is right now they are a little thin on the bench. DeAndre Jordan only 4 points in 19 minutes. 9 boards, though, and that's really what he's there for, just to kind of clean up around the glass, chip in some minutes, play a little bit of defense if that's possible. That's basically it from DeAndre Jordan. Now that Jared Allen has wrestled a stronghold on that starting job, Jordan's just going to be capped around that 20-minute mark, so don't pay him too much mind unless you're streaming rebounds or trying to get sneak an extra block into your lineup. Jean and Musa, only 5 points, 2 assists. I like the kid's potential, but he's not going to do much in a limited amount of time. Iman Shumpert's also played some quality minutes for them, but not tonight. Only 2 points, six boards, and an assist. There's really nothing much to kind of pick up on from the Nets bench as of right now. It's really that things will start to shake out a little bit more once Kyrie and Karis LeVert are back. LeVert will still be out a little bit longer, but Kyrie hopefully will be back within the next week or two with his shoulder injury. Kurt, anything you want to add on my Nets?
All I want to add on your Nets, man, is Taurean Prince. Like you said, he's fun. He has that diversified stat line. And, of course, wouldn't you know, I dropped him in a spot for Davis Bertans a couple days ago.
No.
And I was kind of surprised because I looked at their stat lines, and just without looking at the numbers, I thought Prince would be the better guy. But Bertans was actually ranked a good amount higher. I think he was around 50 or 70 per game, and Prince was around 150, which surprised me. But with Prince, it was the turnovers and low field goal percentage. And, of course, he goes out and puts up this line tonight. So great game for Prince. Like you said, on the Garrett Temple stuff, I've been hesitant to pick him up anywhere. I've just had some other better options. And who knows when LeVert and Irving are coming back. So I wouldn't blame you for riding that out until they do. You want to hear about the Hawks?
Let me have him, baby.
Alrighty. Jabari Parker, he's had about 4 not-so-good games in a row. Tonight, 10 points, 3 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks, 0 threes. Only played 29 minutes. Not a great night for Jabari. Maybe he knows Collins' return is around the corner. That's definitely going to eat into his value some. I don't know how much because the Hawks don't have a whole lot of players as it is. I mean, they're running Cam Reddish out there for 37 minutes. Tonight he had 25 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 4 threes. You'll probably see him get picked up in a lot of leagues after this game. It won't be by me. He's around number 350 on the season on 9cat, and he just hasn't shown to be a decent player. So I'm not picking him up anywhere. I wouldn't advise it. Maybe if you're in a deep league, 14, 16 teamer, or if you're looking for a pump play in DFS in the coming days. Trae Young, he did his thing with 39 and 10, 1 steal, 5 threes, 8 of 10 from the free throw line. He had his usual high turnovers at 6, but decent from the field at 13 of 23. Actually very good from the field for him. DeAndre Bembry started. He had 2, 4, and 4 with 2 blocks. He's maybe a really deep league guy. Damian Jones has been one of the guys on this team that I've been most excited to see if he could get high minutes because he's got a friendly fantasy game. He shoots something like 69% from the field on the season. He can get you boards. He can get you blocks. He only played 28 minutes. I say only. That's a good amount of minutes for him. It's one of his higher numbers on the season. But 28 minutes, 20 and 8 with 1 assist, 1 block. He was perfect from the field at 8 of 8. But he missed 5 free throws at 4 of 9, so he's going to hurt you there a little bit. If you have a center that you're looking to drop, if you own like a Cody Zeller, Bismack Biyombo, maybe a Daniel Tice or a Nez Kanter, I couldn't blame you for trying Damian Jones. He's fun. He's very explosive out there. Just a decent center to have. Who knows what happens when John Collins comes back, which isn't too far off. I don't see why they wouldn't just keep starting Jones, throw Collins into the mix, and I don't know, maybe Jabari can play some 3 or have him come off the bench for some scoring punch because off the bench, it is ugly. They have Bruno Fernando, only got 3 minutes. Alex Len actually had 18 and 7 with 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, but he only played 17 minutes, so that's pretty fluky. Kevin Huerter returned tonight, only played 15 minutes. No points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. He'll ramp up into higher minutes eventually, probably jump into that starting lineup and replace Bembry. One of those 3-point streamers that we talked about, there's a good amount of them these days. I'm not rushing to pick him up. His field goal percentage is usually, I want to say in the high 30s, so I'm not super excited about that. You're probably better off using his spot as a streamer spot than running him out there full time. Feel like I missed someone. Oh, DeAndre Hunter did not play tonight. I forget why. A dislocated finger, I believe. So that opened up the door. I'm not sure who started in his place. Was it Reddish or what is it, Bembry?
It was Reddish who got that start in Hunter's place there. Yeah, you're right, sprained finger. This team's all over the map. There's Trae Young, and then there's just who knows. They really need John Collins back in the worst way. But it's hard to rely on guys on a regular basis. It's between injuries and now Herter's back, and what to make of this night from Reddish. What to make of this night from Bembry and Jones and Len. It's just, I feel like there's not a whole lot of dependability on this team. Jabari Parker's just fallen completely off the map and will be completely off the map once John Collins is back. They got to get Trae Young some help somehow. And, perhaps it's Collins. But it's hard, especially for fantasy purposes, to rely on anyone else. Especially in weekly leagues. It's one thing on like a day-to-day basis or DFS when you can like kind of spot a Bembry or spot a Cam Reddish like tonight. But man, it's a bit of a wasteland there, and it's anyone's guess who delivers on a night-to-night basis for these Hawks. Let us jump into the Pacers and Thunder. Indiana beating the Thunder 107-100. Revenge narrative for Domantas Sabonis on the Pacers side of things. 17 points, 13 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, 7-13 shooting. Hey, the guy keeps trucking along. Just keeps on doing Domantas Sabonis things, if you will. Scoring, boarding, top 50 value guy. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm a little concerned that the efficiency might go away at some point, but as long as he keeps doing this, he's keep on delivering. Just unfortunately, there's the defensive stats are going to be a little bit concerning. He had a couple steals tonight, but he's not really known as a defensive guy. So hopefully he can keep that up. But it's been a great season as a whole for Sabonis. T.J. Warren led Pacers scorers with 24 points. And 4 boards and assists, a couple turnovers, 9 of 15 shooting. He's kind of been up and down, but I think in the grand scheme of things, Warren can deliver top 100 player. Myles Turner, 12 points, 4 boards, no defensive stats. I don't know, man. That's not what we drafted Myles Turner for. And he's like a fringe top 100 guy, which is kind of nuts. He's got to step up, and it's we love him because he can block shots, but he's got to do more than that. I know he wanted to step up his game as a 3-point shooter, but he's been woefully inefficient. His free throw shooting isn't that great, and just Sabonis is just grabbing every rebound in sight, and there's just not much for him to go on. So I'm sure everyone who has drafted him is feeling disappointed. Maybe you'd want, maybe a buy low opportunity, but I don't know. You're depending a lot on the blocks, and he didn't deliver any tonight. Malcolm Brogdon, 11 points, 6 assists, 4 boards, a steal. This isn't the kind of night that you want, especially if you've got a small window in which to sell him before Oladipo comes back. He has been so good all season, but did not deliver a good one tonight. Hang on to him. I mean, if you could try to sell him, great. If you can't, just hang on because he can be a solid, worst case scenario, top 100 to top 75 guy when Depot gets back. And again, that's worst case scenario because we know he's a good basketball player. It's just a matter of how he's going to be able to share the ball with Depot moving forward. Jeremy Lamb, solid night for him. 13 points on 6 of 11 shooting, 3 boards, an assist, a steal, and a block as well. Feels like a very typical Jeremy Lamb night. And again, we know he's a top 100 guy for sure. Moving forward, and that's a kind of typical night for him. Off the bench, not a whole lot to go off of. But Justin Holiday has really found a nice role as kind of a 6-man guy for this team. He's been pretty good of late. 12 points, 5 boards, an assist, a steal, minutes in the upper 20s. I don't know. I mean, he's been a pretty valuable fantasy guy in the past, and now his per game is kind of creeping up into that top 125 territory. He's actually top 100 guy in total value on the year. If you were to make an ad there, it's not a bad thing. It can get a little crowded again once Depot comes back, but he can do it. He can do it on a nightly basis. He chips in threes. He plays defense, can score, get some rebounds. That's basically all you want, all-around game, and he can do that. Dougie McBuckets, 14 points off the bench as well in 18 minutes. A couple boards, but no, he's not a guy you rush to add in leagues. But again, he's another 3-point streamer if you're desperate. But other than that, I wouldn't really go running after him. Not much else. T.J. McConnell and Aaron Holiday both played 17 minutes apiece and did absolutely nothing with them. McConnell had 8 assists at least. Good assist streamer, but again, the minutes just simply won't be there. Kurt, did I miss anything on the Pacers?
You didn't miss anything, man. The only thing that I think that you kind of opened my eyes a bit to here is on Myles Turner. Yeah, he's definitely down. His preseason rank was 22, so a lot of people took him in the second round. Right now, currently 77 per game average and 9 cap. The field goal percentage is down at 44.9, so that can come up. Free throw percentage is down about 2% from last year. He's still getting you the 2.3 blocks, which is the main reason you drafted him. I wouldn't expect the rebounds to come up a lot because Sabonis is just feasting off the glass. And honestly, Turner looks very passive in that regard. So I don't see his rebounds really changing very much. Even if Sabonis goes out, Turner's not a big rebounder. But, let's see. For blocks on the season, there's Jonathan Isaac ahead of him at 2.8, Davis at 2.7, Brook Lopez 2.4, and Ayton's up there with 4, but that's only a one-game sample size. And so is this guy, something Pele from Philadelphia. I don't even know who he is. He had four blocks in one game. So he's 4th in the league in blocks, and he could get higher. He was number 1 last year, I believe. So I would buy low on him. His owner's probably definitely a little bummed. He's not putting up the value that he expected. He's still getting those blocks. So I would try to buy low on him. Would you, Josh?
I think so. The blocks are always going to keep his floor pretty high, but like you said, it's really Sabonis is just taken over in that front court. So it's the boards are going to stay low. But I think that he's just got to get more efficient, but he doesn't seem like he's going to be very aggressive on only 7 shots tonight also. So there's not a ton of opportunity volume-wise for him, but we know he can get hot. It's not as if he can't get into that top 50 range. He just needs more opportunity.
Yeah. Last year, it seems pretty far in the rearview mirror, but I remember last year, his first couple months of the season, people were super bummed and saying, like, okay, he's not the guy we thought. It just he is who he is. And he's been doing better than that. So, he could pick it up. I think, didn't he actually do better with Depot on the floor?
I think so. He can go on some tears.
Yeah. So
there's no question about that.
I'd try to reel him in wherever I can. And it's funny because I don't think anyone's talking about him as a buy low candidate, but I'd shoot some buy low offers there.
For sure. Lay the thunder on me, sir.
Yes, sir. I'll lay down the thunder. Danilo Gallinari, he's been having a good year. Top 50 guy. 18 points, 7 boards, 2 assists, 4 threes. No free throws, which is a little bit of a bummer because you like his 90-some percentage free throw shooting at the line. He also, unless I'm wrong, I don't think he's missed a game this year. So for a guy that's usually tagged as super injury prone, he had one of his better games last year in terms of games played. He's having a great year, and you could ride it out. But I wouldn't blame you if you tried to sell high on him because the injuries are probably coming. His history has shown us that. And who knows what happens with this OK City team if they blow it up at the end of the year. Maybe they compete for a playoff spot. I think they're somewhere kind of in the mix, but I don't think they're really a favorite there. So I wouldn't blame you for trying to trade him. Steven Adams has been really trending up in the last couple weeks after being close to a drop candidate considered by some. Tonight played 29 minutes, Perfect from the field at 8 of 8. Perfect from the free throw line at 4 of 4, which is nice. 20 points, 9 boards, 3 assists, 2 blocks. Probably about as good a game as you could hope for from Steven Adams. Chris Paul, he's been having a nice season as well. I think he's number 29 or so on this season. 4 points, 10 assists, 3 boards, no threes, no steals, and only 2 of 9 from the field. Just not a great game from Paul tonight, but he'll be fine. Terrence Ferguson continues to start and not a standard league guy, maybe a 16-teamer. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I think people expected a lot more from the field goal percentage for him. 7 of 19 tonight, 1 of 7 from three-point land for 16 points, 3 boards, 3 assists, 1 steal. On the season, his default rank was 55, and he was going even sooner than that in some drafts. He's currently at 117. So not returning value there. If you think he can bring that back, he's also a buy low guy that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. I think a lot of people are saying he's having a great year, which is kind of surprising. Off the bench, Dennis Schroeder, German, had 18 points, 4 boards, 1 assist, 1 3, 1 block. I continue to hold on to him where I own him because he's one of the hoop ball 6, but he's definitely one of... If a super hot free agent pops up, he's definitely a first on my chopping block in a few leagues, so I wouldn't blame you for moving on there. Nerlens Noel, kind of easy to overlook in the box score, as I almost just did, but he had 8 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 1 block, and only played 19 minutes. He is number 94 on the season in 9-cat due to the 0.9 steals and 1.7 blocks. Also 63% from the field. If Adams ever goes down again or gets traded, we're looking for good things from Noel. He's one of those rare types where he's a nice stash, but he's giving you value even as you hold him. A lot of stashes, you're just kind of holding on, waiting for them to play. He's still giving you top 100 value even as a stash, so things could even get better for him. Really, there's not a whole lot else to speak of on the bench here. Josh, what do you have on these Thunder?
You got it, man. I was done with Steven Adams. Absolutely done. He looked awful to start the season, but to his credit, he's picked it up. He's making me eat my words. Pretty much like a perfect night for him tonight, and he's getting some value back. So good on Steven Adams. So hang on to him. Or it could be a bit of a sell high moment, if you will. He's been playing much better as of late. But at the same time, like you said, hang on to Nerlens Noel because he can deliver value in a short period of time, like you said. And anything happens at the top, there's a top 50 player in there if he gets the minutes for sure. So just hang on to Noel. Again, just hang on to him while you can. The time will come, I'm sure, because there's bound to be a lot of changes on this Thunder team. Moving on, the Mavs beating the Timberwolves 121-114 on the T-Wolves side. We'll start with Karl Anthony Towns, 26 points, 9 boards, 8 assists, a steal, a block, 10 of 19 shooting, 3 3-pointers. Well, what else are you going to say? Towns is great. He's awesome. Andrew Wiggins, 26 points, 5 boards, an assist, 3 blocks. The efficiency is utterly lousy, but the free throw shooting, pretty good. 9 of 11 from the stripe. 3 3-pointers as well. Look, I don't think anyone actually thought, even including myself, that Andrew Wiggins was going to be like a top 25 player. But at the same time, you know what? Let's not get too greedy. I know I was starting to get overly excited about what he was doing, but look, if he stays in that kind of top 75-ish range, which I think is plenty within the realm of possibility for him, especially if he keeps his woeful shooting nights to a minimum, I certainly think that's possible since he's starting to chip in a little more on the defensive side. He can put up some threes. The percentages have been better on the whole, just not great recently. there was bound to be a little bit of regression there. So hopefully you were able to sell on him, but I do think that he'll be a solid asset the rest of the way. Robert Covington, 22 points, 6 boards and assists and a steal on 8 of 13 shooting. Efficient because he was 6 of 10 from deep. It's a great night from Covington. We love him here. He's great. I really don't have much to add other than you know what you're getting out of Towns, Wiggins, and Covington at this point. What has changed a bit is Jarrett Culver and Jeff Teague situation. Culver with the start again, 11 points, 6 boards, 6 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks. Only 4 of 10 from the floor, but hey, this is a great all-around stat line. And Culver's been doing it since he's gotten to the starting lineup. So a nice night for him. It would be interesting to see how this kind of evolves over time. But Culver's been pretty nice, at least while he's been in the starting lineup. Hang on to him if you picked him up with this speculation. Yeah, the per game on the season's been kind of lousy, but nights like this will get me intrigued. Given that he was thrust into that starting role, that ranking is starting to creep up a little bit, and he's kind of over his last few games, kind of bridging that top 150 type of ranking with some room to grow there. On the flip side of that coin, though, Jeff Teague, 0 of 5 from the field, 3 points, 6 assists, and that's it. On 28 minutes, no less. This is, look, he was a good sport about this change, but man, just it's killing his value. I own Teague in a spot, and I don't know what the heck to do with him. I'm hoping that, he gets a little bit more acclimated with the second unit, and that this is just a rough night for him because we know he can do it. But this is really, really concerning for him. So hopefully this is just a really, really awful game, and we can move on from there. In other bench news, Keita Bates-Diop, 8 points, 2 boards, not much else to look at. This bench is kind of all over the map. Travion Graham had 7 points, a board, an assist, and a steal. But there's really not a whole lot of fantasy goodness to mine other than Teague on this bench. Kurt, what do you got for me on the T-Wolves side?
Man, agree with pretty much everything you said. I think Robert Covington, I feel like nobody's talking about him at all this year. Multiple sites. I don't feel like anyone's really saying anything about him. He's kind of quiet. And because of that, I think you can probably steal him away from an unsavvy owner, especially if you're in a casual league. He just doesn't really pop. This is one of his probably more poppy games of the season with 6-3, so I think you could steal him away for cheap. In terms of Jarrett Culver, like you said, I picked him up in a few places. He's probably a better fit for points league with the 37% from the field and 40% from the free throw line, which is just crazy. But granted, he doesn't shoot a whole lot from the free throw line, and better days are in store for him. The other thing I got on Teague, like you said, getting lots of drop questions on him. I wouldn't drop him. 28 minutes off the bench, led all the bench guys in minutes. Actually played the same amount as Culver at 28. And if he's beaten up on team second units, it's not hard to see him actually doing better off the bench where he's not deferring to Towns and Wiggins. So I would hold on to him. I don't think he's a drop. He still got you 6 assists, which was the main reason you drafted him, the 6, 7, 8 assists. Sure, he only took 5 shots and missed all of them. But I think normally, this is a couple games in a row now where he's not shooting much. I think normally he's going to be closer to 10, 11 shots, make half of those. So he could still be a guy, even on the low end, getting you 10 points and 6 or 7 assists, which isn't exciting by any means. It's not, it's not exciting. But assists are hard to find this year. We saw that with them dropping off after the first few rounds quite a bit. So, yeah, this is very disappointing, and he's supposed to continue to come off the bench indefinitely as far as I know. So don't look to that changing, but again, I'd look to more shots probably coming in the future. I would hold on at least for another week. If we're still seeing this in a week, maybe 2 weeks, then you can move closer to the cut line. But as for now, I think it's best to hold on to him. What do you think, Josh?
I'm with you. Just hang tight. I mean, I don't know what else. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know what else to do. You're not going to get any value for him in a trade.
Nope.
At this juncture, and just hang on and just hopefully he gets a little more acclimated and the value will come. All right, give me some Luka mania.
Luka Mania, 22, 7, and 6 with 1-3. No steals, no blocks, 5 turnovers. Not the best Luka game. Kind of more like the Luka of last year, honestly. 8 of 22 from the field, 5 of 8 from the free throw line, and 5 turnovers. But I'm not I'm not going to steer you away from Luka in any means. We all know what he's been doing this year. He's been a monster. He's probably a top 5 guy for years to come. Very, very unlikely, but maybe a buy low opportunity. Highly, highly doubt it. But anyway, there it is. Kristaps Porzingis has been disappointing this year. He had 19 and 6 tonight with 1 block and 2 threes. His minutes still seem to be lower than 30. I know they said they were going to load manage him. I can't recall him really sitting out any games so far this season due to load management. But earlier in the preseason, they said that was going to be a thing. Anyway, I think he's a buy low guy. I don't know if he gets up to his ADP where he's going in the third rounds in a lot of places, but I think he's a buy low guy. Dorian Finney-Smith started. He's one of those starters that you don't really look at for anything. Tim Hardaway has been a hot guy in recent weeks. Tonight, 7 points, 3 rebounds, 1 3, only 26 minutes. There are a lot of these 3-point streamer type guys out there, and maybe Hardaway's a little more than a streamer, but he's one of those guys where if his shot's not falling, he vanishes from the box score. So he can get hot, but he's very, very streaky. I think he's like a high 30s, very low 40s field goal percentage guy for his career. So he can easily vanish if the threes aren't falling down. Dwight Powell tonight had 24 and 5, 4 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 2 threes, perfect 9 and 9 from the field, 4 or 5 from the free throw line. I'm pretty sure that's his best game of the year. And, of course, he would do that now that pretty much everybody has dropped him. I'm not running to pick him up anywhere, but I wouldn't blame you if you had somebody on the end of your bench that's just trash that you're looking to move, because we know what he can do if he gets a decent amount of minutes. He's low-key, like a pretty solid asset, especially in Roto. He doesn't hurt you anywhere. No turnovers tonight, great percentages. I guess I wouldn't blame you for picking him up anywhere. I'm not doing it. Off the bench, Seth Curry played the most minutes with 28, with 8, 4, and 3. Darrell Wright, who had a nice game a couple games ago and everyone thought maybe he's back, let's run and pick him up. He played 17 minutes tonight, 4 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, no steals, no blocks, no threes. I think you can comfortably leave him on the wire in all leagues, maybe 16 teamers or deeper, you could maybe pick him up. And let's see, Maxi Kleber, he had 12, 5, and 2 with 1 steal, 2 threes. He's not exciting to own, but he's been having a nice low-end kind of season, probably a 14-teamer, 16-teamer, somewhere in there. Let's see where he is on the season. He's number 169. So yeah, more of a 14, 16 team guy, but somebody nobody's talking about, maybe one of those low-key kind of value plays. I kind of think of him as a 14, 16 teamer, Kelly Olynyk. And really, Jalen Brunson, I guess, had 18 minutes for 16 points, 4 boards, 3 assists. I wouldn't trust him in most leagues. That's really all I have here, Josh. What do you got on these Mavs?
Mavs are infuriating. There's Luka, and you have no idea where else the value is going to come from on a nightly basis. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's Delon Wright. Maybe it's Powell. Powell had a monster game tonight, and a game that we've seen him do before, and everyone will rush to pick him up, and then he'll disappear again the next night.
Yep.
Like you said, Porzingis has kind of been not great for his ADP. And then watch one night he'll come up with 20 and 8 and 4 blocks, and then disappear again because they're managing his minutes. Tim Hardaway Jr. has been red hot, and then nope, here's a 7.3 rebound dud for you. It's just kind of all over the place. These guys tend to play. They don't play heavy minutes in this rotation. A lot of these guys get those mid 20 minutes, and it's hard to extract value out of that. And these guys are kind of up and down. with who's there. It's a great roto team, but head-to-head, I'm a head-to-head guy. This team's been driving me absolutely crazy because I know what they're capable of individually, and they just simply do not do it collectively. And so it's been very frustrating for sure.
Yeah, it's Luka, Porzingis, and maybe Hardaway. After that, I want nothing to do with them in standard leagues.
Yeah, they are absolutely infuriating. Not infuriating though are the Los Angeles Lakers, sitting at 19-3 with a 121-96 victory over the Utah Jazz. The Lakers just keep on rolling, man. Anthony Davis, 26 points, 6 boards, an assist, a steal, 3 blocks, 9 of 11 shooting, 8 of 9 from the stripe. He just does it. He just does it. He hasn't even had like one of those like insane video game type of games yet. And he only played 26 minutes tonight. You know, the Lakers had this one mostly handled throughout the night. So they didn't need him to play that 35 minutes and blow up for like a 40-20, which we know he's capable of doing. But he's still a top guy. It's crazy. It's crazy. So we haven't, like, he is the number 2, number 3 guy on the season, and we haven't scratched the surface in what he can do. So that's pretty crazy altogether. Lakers fans must be just absolutely over the moon about this. LeBron James, 20 points, 12 assists, 4 boards, a steal, 9-21 from the floor. Not his most efficient night. Didn't get to the stripe, but was 1 of 1. Not the crazy popcorn LeBron James line, but you're not gonna complain that much considering the season that James has had. Top 10 guy, and not his best night, but there'll be plenty of others to go. He's been dealing with the assists as well. As far as the rest of the Lakers go, JaVale McGee, 8 points, 5 boards, a couple steals, and a block. Only 14 minutes. Yeah, I mean, he's a great per minute guy. The upside's capped though, and so I wouldn't look too much into that. If you have him, it's great. But I don't. I think the dreams of replicating what he did last season are kind of dashed. Danny Green, 6 points, 5 boards, a block. I can't advocate for him at this point. Contavious Caldwell Pope, 14 points, a board and a block, 2 of 4 from deep, 5 of 8 from the floor. I don't know. I mean, he has his moments. Not a great per game guy. It's again, this Laker team, it's kind of a 2-man show, and KCP has some good nights here and there, but I'm not rushing to get him in any league. Basically, Kyle Kuzma, 31 minutes off the bench, 4 of 11, 13 points. Great defensive night for him. 4 steals, 3 blocks. It kind of came out of nowhere. Because he's not a big defensive guy. So this was a pretty nice night, and maybe opens up your your sell high, buy low window type of thing. I don't, this isn't going to be normal for him. He's not going to deliver those kinds of cash counters in the future. But hey, maybe this will get him going. But I can't invest in him in standard leagues. But if you've hung on to him, you reap the benefits tonight. So congratulations. Rajon Rondo, 14 points, 12 assists, 9 boards, 2 steals. This is a very throwback Rajon Rondo line. A couple 3-pointers there as well. I mean, we kind of know who Rondo is at this point, and he can, top 150-ish kind of guy. He's not going to be able to do this every single night, but this is what he can do. He can do a lot of things across a lot of different categories, and if LeBron doesn't have the ball in his hands, it's going to be Rondo who does. So he can put up some things, and I think that surprisingly, this Lakers team, just believe it or not, still trying to figure each other out as good as they've been. This is still a fairly new team, and Rondo's only been in action for the past couple weeks or so. So there might be some upside for him as well. Other than that, Dwight Howard had 7 points, 9 boards, an assist, and 3 blocks. Also delivering per minute, but upside's going to be a bit limited. Depending on your needs, if you need boards and blocks, sure, why not? But it's Dwight Howard. You know what to get because he was 0-4 at the stripe tonight. And that is it. Kurt, anything you want to add on the Lakers?
What I'll add, man, is this team similar to Dallas is really AD and James. They got two guys, and you really don't want to rely on the other ones too much. And the one that continues to surprise in terms of how slow the public is reacting to this is Kyle Kuzma, man. 288 9-cat average this season. And these defensive stats were juicy. 10 cash counters in total tonight. And if you have him and you think you can sell and make a profit, do it, because his steals on the season are 0.1 and his blocks are 0.3. He's been really trending down. He's just been down all season. And it's scoring and threes with him, and lately the scoring hasn't even been on. And man, the other thing I have here is Rajon Rondo, like you said. Somebody asked me, should they play Rondo in a 4-game week or Tyus Jones, I think, in a 3-game week? And I was probably in the minority here. I said go Rondo because of what he'd been doing, and he's making me look smart now. He's got 2 more games this week so he could peter out, but Rondo's looking good so far. Really, like you said, Josh, on the Lakers side, it's those big guys you want, and then you're rolling the dice on everyone else. Sell Kuzma if you can. On the Jazz side, Jeff Green started tonight. He had 8, 4, and 2. Not a standard league guy. Bojan Bogdanovic, who's having a monster season so far. 23, 3, and 3. 1 steal, 6 3-pointers. Perfect 5 of 5 from the stripe. Joe Ingles started in place of Conley. Conley, I think, is due back in the next game, or at least he's a game-time decision. Ingles has not played well when Conley's been on the court. Started tonight, played 28 minutes, but still didn't do a whole lot. He had 4, 2, and 5 with a 3-pointer and 5 turnovers. He also only took 5 shots. Rudy Gobert quieted down a little bit after his last 2 big games. 13 and 10, 2 steals, 1 assist, no blocks. Donovan Mitchell, he's been trending down a little bit lately, especially in the field goal percentage department. 29, 4, and 5, no defensive stats, 3 threes. Royce O'Neal, who's now coming off the bench, wasn't even a borderline guy in most leagues as a starter. Is now a total drop if you had him. 2, 5, and 1, 1 steal, nothing else in 23 minutes. And really, we're seeing this as a trend this year where if the guy's not starting and they're coming off the bench, like there's so many teams just have nothing off the bench that you want to trust. And that's the case here for me, Josh, in pretty much any 12, 14, 16 team league. Am I wrong? Am I missing anyone here?
No, I mean, Conley being out kind of changed the dynamic of this team and this lineup. But yeah, the Jazz have been low-key disappointing. It's kind of surprising. We expected Mitchell to kind of make the leap, but he just seems like just a volume scorer. Maybe I'm missing something there, but that's just kind of who he is. Gobert's been up and down. He really started the season slow, went on a tear, and just got himself. I think he twisted his ankle, so he was hurt. Now he's slow again. Ingles has been a disaster, and I think they were really kind of depending on him to be that scorer off the bench that they just don't have, and he's had a miserable season, and it just continues. They're really that starting 5 or bust with Conley, and yeah, they really don't have anything else to really step up. It's just you look at it and say, man, it really shows in the numbers just how thin this team is. I will point out one thing: Ed Davis is back. For you rebound streamers out there, I don't know how much time he's really going to get behind Gobert, but you rebound streamers, if you need him, Ed Davis was such a beast in that department on a per-minute basis. So just keep your eye on him. He's been out with an injury up until this point. And we are going to wrap this up with the Blazers beating the Kings 127-116. On the Kings side of things, our guy, Sean Holmes, 28 points, 10 boards, a steal. No blocks tonight, but you know what? We're being nitpicky there on a 28-10 night. 11 of 14 from the field, 6 of 8 from the stripe. He has been outstanding, and we had talked about, who would be competing with Devonte Graham. I'll tie it back to the start of the show. Who competes with Devonte Graham for pickup of the year? The answer is Richaun Holmes. That's the guy. Buddy Hield, 23 points, 7 boards, 7 assists, 2 steals. We like some of these numbers. We like the 2 steals because he was only 8 of 24 from the field. We like that he's kind of trying to carry this team on his shoulders with De'Aaron Fox out. We love the aggressiveness. We just don't like it when he's not on like that. He was way off tonight. But there will be better nights ahead for Buddy Hield. He was starting to pick it up after a slow start to the season. Corey Joseph, who's been starting in place of De'Aaron Fox, 11 points, 7 assists, 3 boards, a turnover, 4 of 10 from the field. I didn't advise a pickup on him when De'Aaron Fox went down. I still don't. But this wasn't a terrible night for him in general. Nemanja Bjelica, 17 points, 7 boards, 4 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks. Great all-around night for him. He'll frustrate Brewski, but he's been a top 100 guy on the season. I'm sure that'll all change once Marvin Bagley makes his return, but solid night for him tonight. We have a Trevor Ariza sighting. Off the bench, he got 35 minutes, 11 points, 6 boards, an assist, a steal, 2 blocks, 2 3-pointers. This is a great line for Trevor Ariza, and it's crazy because he wasn't with the team for like a short while. He's been non-existent on the season, and lo and behold, he puts up a night like this, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember Trevor Ariza. This is what this guy can do. He's great. He's a good basketball player. And I thought that was the whole point of bringing a guy like Trevor Ariza in. But great night. I can't advise a buy as good as Ariza is. But still, it's nice to see him return. Yogi Ferrell, 13 points off the bench, 3 assists as well. Kurt, anything else on the Kings?
Just let me piggyback real quick on Richaun Holmes. He's our hoop ball guy. I got to do it. Who would have thought coming into the year, this guy who was not even being drafted, who would have thought he would be almost 200 spots better than De'Aaron Fox on a per-game basis, almost 50 better than Harrison Barnes, almost 50 better than Bogdan Bogdanovic, and most shockingly, is almost 40 spots better than Buddy Hield. Richaun Holmes currently sits at number 39 on the season, per game basis, 9 cat. Absolutely amazing. He might take a hit when Bagley comes back, which, by the way, Bagley's due to be reevaluated at the end of the week. We could see him playing this weekend or early next week. I don't know if the Kings go this weekend. But his return's on the horizon. Holmes could take a small hit, but it's probably more of Bjelica taking a hit here. So, sure, maybe a little bit of a sell high, but I don't think we're expecting too much of a regression from him. Are you, Josh?
No, I'm not. I think you're right. I think it's Bjelica that's going to end up back on the bench because Holmes, great defender, and I can't imagine that they're going to take him out of the lineup the way he's been playing.
I can't either. On the Trailblazers side, obviously you all want to know about Carmelo Anthony, also in the running for one of the pickups of the year. I jest. 20 points, 5 rebounds, 2 threes, and unlike Melo, 8 of 16 from the field, and only 1 turnover, also not really like Melo. At this point, we're not really super stoked on him as a hoop ball crew, but at this point, 12 teamers, you got to add them, see what happens. There's definitely a shooting regression coming. He's 147 on the year prior to tonight, so just barely inside the window for standard league value. He's 35. I think Lillard's going to take more of a dominant role than he did tonight with only 12 shots. So I think there's a regression coming, but I couldn't blame you for picking him up. But honestly, I would try to sell high. He's got that name value, and name value carries so much weight, especially if you're in a casual league. Try to sell this guy and make a profit. Anything in the top 75, top 100, I would do that pretty quickly. Damian Lillard, he had a better shooting night tonight, which was good because his shooting's been not so great lately. 7 of 12. You might prefer that if he's going to shoot over 50%, only take 12 shots versus 5 of 20 and those kind of nights. He had 24 and 4 with 10 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 4 threes. So a really, really solid game from Lillard. If he had a few more shots, it's looking like a solid game with 30-some points in the same line. Very nice from him. CJ McCollum also burned me in a head-to-head matchup. He had 3 blocks in the first 6 minutes of this game. 3 blocks. Finished with 4. He had 33 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 5 threes, 14 of 22 from the field. As always, players that I go up against have their best lines of the season against me. Hassan Whiteside played 34 minutes. That's monstrous from Whiteside. Usually he sits in about the mid-20s. So that's great to see. 22 points, 16 boards. The shocking part for me, 7 assists. When do you ever see a Whiteside assist the ball? 7 assists, 3 blocks, also 6 of 8 from the free throw line. He's been a good amount better there, free of Miami and Spoelstra, and I think that was a mental thing. His free throws have been better. He's been really beasting so far this year. Let's see. Let me look real quick. He's number 36 on the season, so just inside third-round value. Very nice for him. People are hesitant on drafting him with Nurkic. I don't really see Nurkic coming back and hurting him much. Even if he does come back, I think it's going to be so late in the season that most fantasy playoffs are probably done, or maybe you're seeing Nurkic come back and he's kind of like getting the Kevon Looney treatment like right now, maybe 8 to 10 minutes, somewhere in there. I don't think you're going to see Whiteside hurt by Nurk very much this season, which may be a controversial thing to say. Really, the only thing that I think Whiteside is battling is himself. As long as he can stay healthy, if he can avoid those knee injuries, I think he's in for a monster year, and I don't think he's a sell-high guy. Rodney Hood started 6-3-3, nothing to see there. Kent Bazemore, we had some interest in him to start the year. I don't own him anywhere, but 15-6 tonight with 1 assist, 1 steal, 3 threes. He's okay for a 14-16 teamer, but pretty inconsistent. Anthony Simons, he scores a lot. Well, that's his one talent is scoring, kind of like a Kobe White. Only played 13 minutes tonight. Not a standard league guy, maybe a 16-teamer. Scal BCA, 14 minutes. Really no stats there. Josh, did I miss anything on these Blazers?
I will add a personal anecdote that I am from the New York, New Jersey area, born and raised, and one of my favorite pastimes was selling high on Carmelo Anthony to my ridiculous Knick fan friends because it was a guarantee that they'd overpay. So anyone listening from the New York, New Jersey area, find the Knick fan in your league, sell Carmelo Anthony to him, like you said. This will not keep going. Enjoy it while it lasts.
Absolutely.
Kurt, this was a fun one, my man.
Josh, before you go, I don't mean to interrupt you, but it was a massive slate. I think we missed a couple things.
Go, give it to me.
I think we missed the Grizzlies and Bulls and the Celtics.
No, we got the Celtics, I thought.
Did we get the Celtics?
We got the Celtics. Yeah, we got the Celtics. We got the Heat and Celtics, but I definitely think we missed the Grizzlies and Bulls.
Okay.
It goes to show you this is so we were having issues with my internet before the game, so I knew that we were probably a game short. So let's hit that one real quick. Grizzlies and Bulls. The Bulls pull out a W, 106-99. I'm on the Grizzlies side here. Jonas Valanciunas with a monster. Yes, I knew we missed something. Our boy, Jonas Valanciunas, 32 points. 32, 13 with 3 steals. Dude, monster night for Jonas. He had a block as well. 8 of 10 from the stripe, 12 of 17. He's been on a tear, and he was sick also with an illness. So I'm glad to see that really didn't slow him down because he has been red hot. And that's great, and they're going to need him with Brandon Clark going to be out for some time. Jaren Jackson Jr., 15.7 boards and assists, a steal, 2 blocks, 6 of 20, though. The efficiency lacking. We love the blocks. 5 fouls also, so that's going to be problematic. It's kind of been the story of Jaren Jackson Jr. Needs the efficiency, needs to stay on the court and not get into foul trouble because we know what he's capable of. But again, glimpses of that in this one. Jay Crowder continues to put up a solid season, 15.6 boards, 4 assists, a steal, only 5 of 13 shooting, but 3 3-pointers as well. He's been a solid guy. Hang on to him. Again, Clark is out. They need the minutes. Tyus Jones, quiet night, 6 points, 3 assists, 1 rebound. You can tell how much they miss Ja Morant here because as much as we believed in Jones early in the season, he's just not getting it done, even with the added responsibility. Dylan Brooks to round out the starters, only 5 points, 3 boards, an assist, 2 steals, also in foul trouble, and 2 of 11 from the floor. Way too up and down for my taste. On the bench, DeAnthony Melton. He's been getting some run recently. 8 points, 7 assists, 5 boards, 3 steals. This team's been up and down, and they've been giving Melton an extended look. So if you wanted to make an ad, go for it. Same thing with Grayson Allen. 12 points, 7 boards, an assist, a steal in 25 minutes. Again, these guys need to get offense somewhere other than their front court. They certainly haven't been getting it out of their back court, and especially they're going to need to do that with Ja Morant out. So speculative ads, sure, on Melton and Grayson Allen, yeah, why not? Go for it. Solomon Hill also, 29 points. Call him out because he did have 3 steals, but did only shoot 1 of 8 from the floor. Probably the beneficiary of Brandon Clark's minutes, but I'm not excited about his fantasy prospects. Kurt, Grizzlies, anything else?
Only thing, even though he's not exciting, I would add Dylan Brooks in most leagues while Ja Morant is out. That week-to-week tag is not exciting to hear, and with the Grizzlies having nothing to play for, their prized rookie, no reason to think they won't err on the side of caution there. Tyus Jones was a popular pickup, but the guy that I'm a little more intrigued by because of his diversified stat line, like you mentioned, DeAnthony Melton, didn't score a lot, but 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, 30 minutes. I'd be taking a serious look at him if you have somebody to drop on the end of your bench. Other than that, like you said, just way to go, JV. Good to see him just really roaring right now. On the Bulls side, Lauri Markkanen, who has been a buy low candidate pretty much all year. Last game he had 20 points, a few threes, I think 8 boards. So maybe that gave his owner a little bit of excitement tonight. 15 and 5 with an assist. He had 2 blocks, which is not like him, and 4 threes. So he's getting it going a little bit. But I think you could still have him on the cheap, especially if somebody's really into the rankings. He was 43 on preseason ranks, currently 158 in 9-cat. So still a buy low guy, and he's got a long way to go before that buy low window closes. Wendell Carter Jr. has been a fun big to own this year, 16 and 13, 4 blocks. He did have 5 turnovers, which is a bit of a buzzkill, but what are you going to do? Chris Dunn starting now, 10, 4, and 4 with 1 steal, 2 threes. Kind of interesting to have Chris Dunn and Satoransky starting, and Zach LaVine. I'm not sure what they're calling their positions right now, if they're going point guard, shooting guard. Kind of strange. Zach LaVine, the leader of the team, 25, 6, and 3, 1 steal, 1 block, 2 threes. He's been having a nice year. He's currently, well, kind of strange. He's number 59 on the season, which is exactly his AD or his preseason rank. You don't see that very often. I think he's a little bit of a sell high only because he seems to break down so much. And with that, my computer has gone from 100% to 0, at least my second computer with the box scores on it. Josh, hit me up with whatever's left on the Chicago side.
No problem. We're getting to that point in the podcast. Thad Young off the bench, 9 points, 2 assists, a block. Again, nothing much to write home about. Just, if you're still hanging on to the Thaditude, these are the kind of typical nights for him. Denzel Valentine had 8 points, 4 4 boards, 2 assists. I'm not rushing to grant him either. It's just Kobe White, 22 minutes, but only 1 of 8 shooting. He's been kind of up and down. It seems like the starter minutes have solidified a lot more around those guys like Satoransky, Dunn now within the starting lineup, Markkanen Carter and Levine. So I'm just not getting a whole lot, and it seems to, like we said, to be the trend in the league. And I don't think, especially now that the Bulls won, I don't think Boylen's going to mess with that moving forward. So I'm not buying anything on the Bulls bench right now. That wraps her up. So I'm sorry about the missed game again.
It was just the Bulls,
problem,
man. It's just the Bulls.
Yeah.
They probably wouldn't have even noticed.
Exactly. So thanks for bearing with us, everyone. This has been the Box Score Breakdown, a hoopball presentation. Again, check us out, hoop-ball.com. Be sure to leave us a review. If you made it an hour and a half into this podcast as we break down all these games, give us a review. Tell us how much you love listening to us yammer on about box scores. We would love that. That'd be great. That's how we kind of build our following around here. And if you want to chat at any point, I'm on Twitter at Josh Millman. Captain, give me that goofy screen name of yours.
You got it, sir. I'm at Captain Canegas, CaptCaneghis. It's probably in the description. Check it out there. Hit us up with your questions, ads, drops, trades. Love to hear from you. If you made it this far into the pod, congratulations. Thanks for listening. Means a lot to us. Maybe on our next one we'll say, if you're listening to us, put it at 1.5 times speed. But
exactly.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Guys, as usual, thank you, Kurt. We'll be back next week. Enjoy, hoopballers.
Have a good one.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.